angle, it will be okay.
I'm trying that. How is it now?
Yeah.
Great.
Now we can see you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank God. At least
Okay.
let this. Yeah, I think. Great. Anyway.
So let me start.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of SCM Talk Show, Season 5. The last episode was on talent, leadership, and transformation. The title of this episode is How Cloud and SaaS, which is SaaS, Software as a Service, can transform supply chain management. This topic has been chosen to tap expert experience of the speaker. As usual, this session will also be recorded and made available for free on 𝗦𝗵𝗀 mobile app as well as the 𝗦𝗵𝗀 YouTube channel. Like our earlier practice that we have put everyone on the listen-only mode. And if you would like to submit your questions, you can submit your questions in chat box. We will take a few most asked questions at the end of the session, if time permits, right? So it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Balaji Swaminathan. Balaji is the Associate Director at Oracle India Private Limited. It's a very well-known company. He's an innovator and an evangelist for cloud application associated with the world leader in SaaS, in SaaS, that is software as a service. By educational qualification, he is chartered accountant. He subsequently completed his CPIM from 𝗬𝗵PIX USA. As a proud alum of 𝗦WorX Education, formerly 𝗖𝗵P𝗶hi, he worked with Ramco Systems for more than 16 years. When he left Ramco, he was Vice President and Practice Head, Supply Chain and Logistics Solutions Consulting. He was also worked in Hexaware, where he has been with Oracle for more than 10 years. So, Balaji, if anything that I missed, please actually you can add to. I'm sure I have not been able to introduce to you. Have not done a justification. So, can you please add something more about you?
Thank you very much, Ravindra sir. It's been a pleasure. Yes, you pretty much covered all the points, and really nice of you to have given such a robust introduction.
Thank you so much. And, I would like to thank for accepting our invitation to share your industry experience, industry and practice oriented insight with our listeners. So to begin with, can you say a few lines about cloud and SaaS? And I'm sure people know about cloud and SaaS, but just in case some of the people who have been connected, they're not very familiar with cloud and SaaS. So can you introduce about this cloud and SaaS technology?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ravindra sir. And again, I wish to extend my greetings to all of you. A very warm welcome for today's session. Cloud and SaaS, these have been the buzzwords for quite some time now, a few years, if I'm right. Many people, as a layman, let me put the hat of a layman and see what's the big difference when it comes to supply chain. The supply chain, anyway, you have a set of activities that need to be done to deliver something from one point to another. Be it, it may go through manufacturing, it may go through other services, it may go through a lot of value add, but then it starts at point A and ends at point B. It goes through several set of processes. It could be the hub and spoke model, etc. But what is so special about SaaS, software as a service? Now, software, as you know, is playing a very big role and has been playing a very big role for a very long time now. I'm talking more than 30, 40 years. SAP, especially we have had the products like SAPs and Oracles of the world. And the key difference here is not just the method of delivery. There are two broad types of ways in which we can deliver software. One is the on-premise model, which has been the traditional model, the one that's been in existence, where you basically install it in a server that is usually resident in the client's place or at the user's place or in any central location, or like an IT department, and then it is shared across all users who could be scattered in a geographical region. It could be even in a wide area where we use WAN, wide area network, etc. So even at that time, supply chain management could work in a robust way. There wasn't, of course, there were some limitations, no doubt. Now move over to the web enablement, the web-based tool. They then had internet coming in a big way, where everything was done over the web. But there again, we had limitations. So finally, the model that evolved was SaaS. SaaS is not just a subscription model where you pay for a software as a service, where you only pay per use, pay what you use. It's not only that. It means a lot more. One of the other points that is that differentiates it between other types of software is the ability to encapsulate all the things such as middleware, hardware, database, and other connectors, the integration devices, etc. And of course, I am also including the mobility. So all that is now provided at an affordable subscription price. Now, what is the meaning of subscription in SaaS? You only pay as you use. You don't use for the entire thing. It's like, I would take a crude example of a Uber or Ola. I don't need to buy a car. I use the car as and when I need it. It should be available at my beck and call. I can also rent a car permanently. Like, it has to come in the morning, it has to go in the night. And I will use it only when I require. So it's not a very good analogy, but I'm just trying to use that for the people who are not aware of this model. Again, pardon me, those who already know SaaS. Some of you are experts in this area, but the other notable advantage of SaaS that we have seen is the robustness with which you can deliver advanced tools like CPFR, that is collaborative forecasting and planning and replenishment, which is so common here. I will take an example to explain how SaaS can help in this in the coming few minutes. But let me be a little more concise and sharp in addressing this main point of SaaS for SCM. The key point here is ability to work in an ecosystem of software on demand products. So I can take products on demand and at a quick notice, use them to the extent I need, and then I can even log out of it. So it's like a library book. So I'll put it in that way. To elaborate this, I will take a very layman's example. An organization may not need transportation optimization all the time. It may need only on and off. It may need it only once in a month, or once in 2 months, once in a quarter, and so on and so forth. So I may use a tool called knapsacking tool, which is available as a SaaS model. So I may be using on-premise software, but I may use this packing optimization tool only when I need. Let us say at the end of the quarter, end of the month, and so on. Use it for a few hours, and then I stop that use. So this is all part of the supply chain ecosystems, supply chain environment. So I can be helped by it anytime. Similarly, I can take a warehouse management tool, not permanently, but I may want to take it only for a short period of time, because I may not be engaging regularly in warehouse management. I may need it for a very short period of time. Similarly, you have certain other type of software where, for example, I need to export it to a country, let us say in South America. We do not know the laws and the tax laws of that country. So there are specialized software which are available on SaaS model. So I may use that because I have a limited export order to be accomplished, let us say to Brazil or some other country. So I may not use it permanently. Like in India, we have certain systems like Clear Tax and other ones. Similar to that, there are GST, similar to GST, there are these indirect tax softwares available for Brazil that can be taken on pay-per-use model or SaaS model. Use it effectively for a limited period of time, particularly when you want to accomplish that export order. And once you are done with that order, you don't need that anymore, because this is a software that is very specific to, say, Brazil. So, and then after you complete the task, when you no longer have any orders for that country, you can just log out of it after paying the necessary fee. So these are some examples. This may not be a great example, but then I would say for a starter, again, for a layman or a person who wants to know the importance of SaaS, these examples can come handy. Before I take a pause, I will take a pause for any points. Ravindra sir can guide me on that. One more point I want to say, the trend here is moving towards SaaS. Leading players, whichever it may include the company for which I work, or it could include big players like anyone, any names you can take in for SAP, Ramco, and many other companies. They all are moving towards the SaaS model because of ease of delivery, standardization, and also robust maintenance. Maintenance of software, as you all know, is a very big activity. It's extremely cost consuming. So all this can be optimized, and I can have a set of specialized software that are needed for supply chain all in one stack, and I will be able to control them effectively using a SaaS model.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take a pause.
Yeah. Actually, so I will actually put the next question about e-procurement and AI-powered sourcing. Is there any way that SaaS can help, cloud can help with these technologies?
Yeah, great. Thanks for that question. AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, have become the buzzwords today. The concepts and terms are very widely used today. You will even find small students, young students who have just entered the academic arena. Even they will be using it, and right up to highly mature professionals. AI and ML are emerging as a set of critical tools for procurement leaders. Firstly, they can be used to improve the spend analysis. What is the spend analysis? I want to know how my client is spending at different points in time in a year or over a period of, say, 3 to 5 years, and how I can do a supplier selection. I need to select the supplier so that he meets my. Is he a blacklisted supplier, or is he a robust supplier? Has he been having a good track record? So this is a second parameter. Third parameter, of course, is the risk management. The risk, how am I able to manage the risk? By mitigating the risk and reducing them. Risks are always there in every organization. We have seen it in so many situations. So how I manage my risk or mitigate my risks. And finally, of course, the process automation. So AI and ML are here to play a very big role, especially in this area of procurement. Not only procurement, I will say, even in the order fulfillment, as they call it. I have a need. My production has a demand. It could be based on reorder level, or it could be based on disposition, and so on and so forth. But I need to make sure that the goods and services arrive at the right time and at the right quantity at the right price. So all these can be achieved using artificial intelligence. I will come to the machine learning a little later, but artificial intelligence is like you need to train the system. You need to build an AI model. You need to train the system on how the various suppliers behave over a period of time, and after that it picks up. And one of the examples I can take in AI, again, I'm using an example-based approach rather than using only jargons and terminology. Permit me to take a few examples so that can be clear to all people across the spectrum. One of the examples, the simplest example is I get a supplier invoice. I'm in the purchase department. I get a supplier invoice or a purchase order in a digital form from my supplier. Now, how do I enter it into a system? I can use a conventional method of entry. But what is today happening is the system takes or extracts it using OCR technique from a supplier's email. It is able to, when I put it in a particular folder, I will program it in such a way that the supplier, say S1, is able to, the system will take it from the folder. It'll make sure that the supplier code is correct, his purchase order number is correct, all the line items are correct, terms, conditions, everything is automatically transposed or transmitted into my purchase order screen. Because only when I complete my data entry into my purchase order screen in my system, whichever system I'm using, only then the system will take it to the next level. That is, after purchase order, I need to do the receiving. After receiving, I need to do the matching, the 2-way, 3-way, and 4-way matching, whether the goods are in correct shape, whether the quantity is correct, the quality is appropriate, and then finally I receive it. So for all this, the artificial intelligence can help in 2 ways. One is preventing frauds, like has he provided the wrong item? It has a way to check that. It can also go by the trends. If the supplier has done a mistake or an error in supply with in other engagements with other customers, it automatically pops up a message. It will automatically come and give me a small infolette or a message that, look, in these occasions there has been an issue, so that I can zero down on it and prevent that or be careful about it. It's like giving you a warning well in advance. When you're driving, it tells that there is a traffic congestion and so on and so forth. Like that, it gives this. This is one way. How does it do? It sweeps the web and finds out how it needs to be done. The other example, of course, the pricing constraints. In case the supplier has violated on pricing or on delivery, he has defaulted, it goes and checks the past records and gives a small window, pops up a small window and says, this is date, this is month, there has been a delay. And if that it allows you to further drill down and tell you and it also tells you how many times it has been delayed, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and then it allows you to take a call accordingly. You may want to tolerate it or you may not want to. If it is more than 3 times, your company may say, no, let's be careful with the supplier, let's not engage him any further. We need to put him on the watch list or a blacklist or whatever name you call it. So these are some of the areas where we can help them for procurement. And of course, in the other sourcing decisions, comparing various quotes provided by suppliers, the system automatically gives what is called the Brown's linear exponential technique, which compares all the quotes, and it forms it's like a forecasting tool. It also tells that if this supplier generally gives discounts over a period of time, especially when you procure in large quantities. So these are some of the areas. Again, to sum up, the supplier selection, risk management and risk mitigation, and of course, process automation. These are the broad topics or broad areas where AI and ML can be of help. Again,
thank you so much. So I think one of the concern usually in cloud and SaaS is the security and access control. Many of the people don't move to cloud because of data security, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. So how does an organization take care of this?
Very thoughtful question. The security is now, just for the information of all the viewers in the program, security is now being handled through a very specialized security strategy employed by all software suppliers. I do not know about the tier 3 software makers. If you are using a software which is of proven brand, it does have a strategy, and usually they call it a military level security, military grade security. Security here is of 2 types. One is a physical security. How safe is the place where I have kept my servers? Is it safe from physical attacks and other floods, earthquakes, and etc.? That is one. Does it have a proven and robust disaster recovery? In case it fails, let us say the server is in Mumbai. In case there is a failure, there's a problem there, does the data immediately get switched over to the disaster recovery center, say in Singapore, for example? It immediately, how long does it take? For how much time do you have a outage? So this is the physical aspect. I will get into the details, but this is broadly one area. There is a physical security. Second one, of course, is the digital security, where I need to be careful about how vulnerable it is to attacks from outside, any hacking or cyber threats and so on. For that, do I have a robust security policy and a security device? Yeah, both these are done with a thorough research, and the security principles involved are multifold. If you take an organization like Oracle, it has got a strong security policy at every level. It not only follows the standard method of the fourfold method, as they call it. It also uses a technique which also can adapt to the needs of local regulations. In India, for example, the Government of India, Ministry of Finance, has come up quite recently, about maybe 2 years or so, or even more. They have come up with a thing, a check that for every organization that is in BFSI or for that any or for that matter in supply chain or any industry, you must have the data in resident in India. All the data should be maintained here. So my own organization has centers in Hyderabad and Mumbai. That is one, and it has got, of course, disaster recovery outside India, and that is one area which is able to manage. Secondly, how the encryption model followed by the Ministry of Finance. What is the encryption model that we follow? Encryption means the audit trail that is provided by my software should not be accessible to any. It should be tamper-proof. I cannot undo a transaction. If I do a receipt, for example, through from a supplier through a purchase order and receiving model, I should not be allowed to be tampered. Let's take an example of 40 years, 50 years back. You could have voucher files. So anybody could just go and take out a voucher from one of the pages and then insert another one with the same number and identical looking one. Even auditors used to be dumbfounded by that. They used to be fooled by such things. It has happened but in a digital environment that cannot happen. So the security should also make sure that such things are prevented. No data can be deleted. No data can be edited or modified unless it is done through a proper approval. And even if it is done through it, it has a timestamp and it puts entry into the audit database or audit table, which is impossible to access. The audit database, no one can access it. No person, how much ever senior or how much ever he may be thorough in the organization, he will not be given any access to it. So this is another example of security. Yes, over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. So actually, if let's say some organization wants to move to, let's say, cloud and SaaS services, so what strategy they should use for sourcing if they have to source cloud, and who are the leaders in this technology? So I would like to know that.
Great. Thanks again for that question. Your question is more around negotiations. Am I right, sir? Supplier successful negotiation.
Sure. So let's say any organization which is using on-premise solution, let's say now, and they want to move to cloud, they want to move to SaaS model. So is it that they have to, buy a software which is designed to run on cloud and SaaS, or they can move, whatever they have to on the cloud and SaaS?
Not necessary. Again, a very good question. It is not necessary. I could do it with any software. It could be even an on-premise software. Of course, the SaaS model gives you certain advantages, which I had mentioned in the beginning of my session, where you could take things on demand. Like imagine a student preparing for an exam. He doesn't have to buy all the books. He needs some books. For that, he can even borrow it from a library, provided, of course, the library has all those books. I may be preparing on a topic A or topic B or C. I don't need to buy a book just for the sake of it, spending so much of money. I'll just borrow it from a library, take notes, and then return it back. A very efficient way of doing it. So yes, with an on-premise software, you can very well handle it, as with the case of SaaS. But in the essential thing here is it must be a digital environment. I cannot work with papers and pencils and Excel and Word and other documents that are unconnected. These are typically single-use tools. They are not meant for an interconnected world. Of course, you have Google Sheets and things like that, but they are not as robust as a ERP. And ERP is an integrated system. Enterprise Resource Planning, as we all know, is an integrated system. So even if it is on-prem, as Ravindra was saying, even if it is on-prem, it must be an integrated system that allows me to integrate with my suppliers. It allows me to have a complete global view. When I'm doing a sourcing or negotiation or anything that I'm doing, I need to take data of the past trends, the past data of the supplier, the past data of my consumption pattern, what is my user, my production department wanting to source, what is the quality, what is the grade, and other aspects. So all that will be able to only a system, only an integrated system. Even I mean, it could be even an on-premise, or it doesn't matter what method of delivery it is, whether it's on-prem or SaaS, it doesn't really matter. But it should be able to collate data from various sources and bring it to me so that I can take an informed decision to do a sourcing, or it could be a negotiation with my supplier, or it could be for any other purpose. I can take an example before I take a pause. Just a last line on this. Typically, in a manufacturing company, when they discuss with when they negotiate with suppliers, they go for what is called unforeseen price increase. Foreseen price increase, we all know, they'll always be there. There'll be a clause in the contract which always tells that if the government imposes additional taxes, or if there is a increase in the hike of any inputs, my price will go up. So that will be there in the contract. But if there are unforeseen price increase, like a pandemic or any other, or there could be even pandemic is only a once in a 100 years event, but there could be other events that could have that might lead to it. So in case of unforeseen price increase, how am I going to effectively negotiate? That will become another aspect, whether I provide the necessary cushions. So for here, in this case, in case of unforeseen price increase, my system will suggest there are tools available in the system where it will tell, it will also give a forecasting model, and it will tell that if you have an unforeseen price increase, the same needs to be adjusted through discounts in subsequent deals and engagements with the supplier. Today, the supplier may charge me 1,000 rupee extra per quintal or per kg of a particular product because of unforeseen price increase. He is charging 1,000 extra over and above the actual price, X plus 1,000. Tomorrow, after because of this unforeseen price increase, my cost will also be affected. So I can always mitigate that by by discussing with them that in the future, coming months or years, you may have to suitably renegotiate or readjust your thing, or either through a supply of additional quantity, or through other methods such as reduction of logistics cost, or through deferred payments, etc. So I'll take a pause here again. Hopefully my answer is acceptable.
Yeah, sort of. So actually, what I was looking at is there are other tools also. I mean, like data warehousing and the BI tools. So can they also be made available on SaaS model on cloud?
Yeah, again, sorry if I missed that point. Yes, very much. There are enough and more tools available. At least the top of the line ones are available. Like you had the data warehousing tool. One I can tell is FDIP, Fusion Data Intelligence Platform. Similarly, SAP has got its own marketplace thing that has this robust tool for this. Similar, and you have other ones like old ones like Ariba and many others. You have IBM Watson, which is very popular for this. They all come packed with very robust forecasting methods that can really help in this aspect. There are tools very much available, but as I said, these tools need not be purchased and made a permanent capital expenditure or a fixed cost. You can even take them on SaaS model, and this will really help in addressing the issue that you have mentioned. There are data warehousing tools that can help you warehouse data for many years and pull them as and when that is required.
Thank you. So actually, another thought that comes to my mind is that when there are multiple agencies involved, in a transaction, especially, when we talk about exports and imports, you have this freight forwarders, you have this container freight stations, and there are many more players like, custom houses and,
Yes.
so I'm sure that will that, I mean, do cloud and SaaS technologies help them more than others?
Yeah. Again, excellent question. This is again a very well-known topic for me because I worked extensively on this when I was heading the practice for logistics. See, this is the ecosystem in which we all work. When I mean we, any manufacturer or any service provider, or for that matter, any business. I mean, I'm excluding banks and insurance companies for the time being from this because they are only in the second level or third level. But mostly, when you take any manufacturer, for example, or an assembler, he is dependent on these players, namely freight forwarders, container freight stations, shipping companies, transporters. In short, you can call this phrase as this group of individuals as 3PL providers, third-party logistics providers. Most of you on this panel will be aware of what I'm talking about. The 3PL provider provides all of them under one roof. It is a single window, so he gives everything under one roof. So if you take a freight forwarder, for example, he arranges the freight. You have to just give it to the third-party logistics provider, your purchase order. Let's say I'm manufacturing some electronic component and I need to import something from, say, Japan and Malaysia. And my export is, say, South Africa. I'm just taking an example, wild example. So I do all the component, I need to procure the components. It could be on, I mean, all I have to do is just hand over my purchase order. All that is today done electronically. I just need to upload it. There are softwares like GT Nexus, a very famous product, and many, many more that are available. And I need to upload it to them. The system automatically takes care of it. It transmits it to the supplier so that he plans for the lead time and then informs the freight forwarder. So once I hand over my purchase order on my document electronically or expose it to my service provider, to my 3PL provider, my job starts. He will make sure that everything is done and delivered to me on the desired date. So it engages, I mean, the type of people that the 3PL provider engages are, he may do it himself in-house or he may outsource himself. So he may engage the service of a freight forwarder who has a counterpart in Malaysia. It has to be put on board the ship or the vessel or the airplane, as the case may be. And then that needs to be delivered and brought in here. Customs duty has to be paid, and then it has to be delivered using a trucker or a transporter, and then finally it reaches me. Here, one important point in India is, I would like to emphasize before I take a pause, is the customs authorities. In customs in India, there are two ways you can. One is clearance at port. You can pay the custom duty at port using a white bill of entry, pay the duty immediately and bring it. The other one is you can do it on a deferred basis where you don't need to clear everything at one go because you don't want to spend all your money and block up your working capital. What you do, you essentially pay a portion of the duty to the port authorities, clear it off and bring it to a place called container freight station or inland container depot. This could be away from the city or it could be away from the port. So there it will be kept like a warehouse, like an extended warehouse of your own factory. So as and when you need to take from there. So it has got evacuated from the port. You don't need to worry about it. So it's now sitting in a customs, inland container depot or a container freight station. Let us say 10 miles or 10 kilometers away from the port. And it is also 10 or 15 kilometers away from your manufacturing location. So all you have to do is, again, this you can do electronically where you can send the manifest to the container freight station and they will release the material as and when you need as per your production plan. If your production plan says you need 25,000 pieces by next week, they will make sure that they will calculate the lead time cleared from the container freight station and then brought to your factory. Now, the container freight station has its own small in-house authorities. The government customs department is given a place there where they will clear the custom duty for you, make the payment through the ICE gate. All that is done by the provider. All you have to do is expose your production schedule or your demand schedule. I need this material in this time. The container freight station automatically provides, the authorities there will get it cleared from the in-house customs authorities, put them on the truck, and then it is available to you in a few days' time, depending on the transportation lead time. So this is, in short, the complete cycle. Yes, there are, these are the providers. And the good thing is, all these today can be connected through the SaaS model. All these players can be connected through the supply chain management ecosystem. I'll take a pause here.
So when we talk about SaaS, I think we used to talk about best of the breed software from different vendors which can work together. Like I can use, let's say, a manufacturing of one vendor, and I can use financial software from another vendor. I can use human resource software from somebody else, and quality management from somebody else. So will the SaaS model support that, or they'll help that? Are the ERP softwares geared toward that?
Yeah. Again, thank you for asking that question. It's a very enlightening question. Why? Because there are two ways of approaching it. Yes. Number one, we have something called a cloud stack. Most companies, all leading players, be it Oracle, be it SAP, be it Infor, or be it anyone. I mean, these are the top players today. And what they do is option A, you have the complete stack. You host them, all of them in there is something called a CI, Cloud Infrastructure. For Oracle, they call it Cloud Infrastructure, and SAP, you have the SAP HANA model, which helps it. I'm sure those who have worked extensively in SAP will have their own views. But here I am still in option A, where you can have multiple products interacting with your main core product. As you rightly said, the finance could be from one. For example, the finance could be, say, Fusion Financials. The procurement could be maybe some other product. It could be a third-party product. The inventory or the warehouse management could be, say, Logfire, or it could be Red Prairie, and so on and so. These are best of the breed products. For transportation, there is a product called TMW, a very famous product. I think it's a US-based product. And there are other products also available. For freight forwarding and custom, there is a product called 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐿, and these are the various products available. These can be integrated through what is called the integration cloud service. Integration cloud service is nothing but a middleware that connects from various other third-party softwares and bring them to you. So you may be having them on your own cloud infrastructure, or you may be having in other places. So all you have to do is, it could be physically present in some other place, but you can integrate it, and you can integrate it and bring it into your system anytime you want. So so you can play with this a set of best of the breed product. Similarly, we have mentioned about HCM. HCM, you have this products called Workday, SuccessFactors. SuccessFactors is, of course, part of SAP, and you have other products like Darwin-Box and all. So those who prefer that, they can even use that and do it. Even our own organization, or for that matter, any organization, even SAP or Oracle, uses this concept called OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, where you can also have third-party products in addition to its own product. In addition to Oracle's own product, we also allow other software. Not just Oracle, I will even say, for example, Ramco, or say Hexaware does it, or other companies. They provide cloud infrastructure. They aggregate all of this and give it to you at any point in time. You can utilize these best of the breed software on demand. I'll take a pause here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'll ask another question. What is the disadvantage?
The disadvantage of having
cloud or SaaS, I think, is it all good, or there are some disadvantage also as compared to the on-premise solutions?
Very much, very much. There are, as with anything in this world, there are good and bad, or the advantage, disadvantage. Advantages I've already mentioned. I will note one of the main disadvantages. Cost-wise, and a SaaS software will be expensive, no doubt about it. At least in the medium term. Maybe in the long term, when you calculate certain things, when you're essentially avoiding your hardware cost, you're avoiding your middleware and your database cost. But at least in the near to middle term, it can be expensive, because the subscription cost that you incur each year or each quarter, as the case may be, the frequency of payment can be tailor-made according. But when you sum up all that, it does result in paying more than what you would normally pay in an on-prem. What happens in on-prem is you get a depreciation concession. You get a deduction for depreciation. I buy a software, I buy the hardware, the server, all the things. I have a room, all that. I set up all those things. For all this, there is a one-time construction cost or one-time setup cost, but that can be mitigated over a period of time. That can be amortized over a period of time. One of them being depreciation, and also other ones, the cost generally comes down with my per capita consumption being high. But in case of I can have any number of users, of course, at a marginal rate. In case of on-prem software, for any software, any company, the on-prem per user price is definitely lower than the cloud per user price. The per capita cost of both are very different, and SaaS model can burn a larger hole in the pocket, no doubt about it. But people still prefer that for various reasons. As I told you, there are many other advantages of it. The other disadvantage, of course, besides the price, of course, is the control of data. People do have that feeling that my data is stolen. Fortunately, these big players don't have that risk, but there are smaller players who have faced that risk. I will not take names. It will not be wise to take names, but there are occasions where there are smaller SaaS players whose security may not be very robust. In that case, the customer data is sometimes leaked, or his other things can be compromised if there are no robust checks and balances. There have been a few occasions that have put that the data, because the data is not entirely under your control. The data is on the cloud. It is on the public. So that is one. Third, of course, being the disaster recovery. How much ever robust your disaster recovery may be, you are dependent on a third party. When you buy a product, like any product, you are dependent on their own disaster recovery. So if there is an unforeseen outage or some attack or something, physical attack or even a cyber attack, it has certain limitations to which it can take. 95% or 97% it can take. There is also always a 3 to 5% risk, I would say, of the risk of data loss. These are the ones.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I think actually, I have a few more questions, regarding your career journey. I saw that you are a chartered accountant by background. How did you end up in supply chain management?
Thanks so much, Ravindra, for that question. I respect. This is something that I wanted to say in the beginning of my session, but nevertheless, yeah. After I graduated, after I completed my CA, I was in a company, as you all know, 𝗬𝗏 𝗪𝗪, for quite some time, about nearly 5 years. But at that point in time, I was not having an idea to switch over to this. But my manager said, "Why don't you get into this?" 𝗬𝗏 at that time was implementing an ERP. In fact, it happened to be Oracle, a very old model Oracle. It was an on-prem, very limited model. So they formed a team called in-house systems administration team. They said that, "Why don't you be part of it? We want you to be the representative of our department." My department was EXIM, export-import accounting, export-import finance, where I used to handle this LC accounting, letter of credit and things. So that was one of the first areas to be automated. So they formed a team with people from various departments: purchase department, sales department, manufacturing, finance, and so on. So it was a team of around 9 or 10 people, if I remember right. So they were taken together when we had to spend at least 2 to 3 hours almost per day, excepting during the closing of accounts. We used to be spared, because at that time the load on every person used to be very high during accounts closing, where you have to finalize the balance sheet. So we all put together, and at that time we were involved deeply in the implementation, how we define the chart of accounts, how the data should be, how the reporting. So I found it very interesting at that time. Then the thought started coming to me. My friends also started encouraging that, "Look, boss, this is the time when you need to make a switch. ERP is coming to India in a big way." I'm talking of very, very old time. Almost a lifetime away. But I'm talking of mid-90s, Windows 95 and things like that. So at that time, I thought it should be the right thing to make a switch. So in fact, after gaining that experience of implementing an ERP in Maruti, I got an offer from one of the suppliers to Maruti, who had an office in Singapore. He was one of the suppliers to Michelin tires. So he was into rubber industry and high density polyethylene and other things. So they used to. So he said that I'm implementing a system there. Why don't you come and help me? At that time, Indians had some brand value. Even now we do have. But for IT, why not we take people from India? So that was a saleable product or a saleable commodity, so to say. So I got that first exposure. So from there, Ramco picked me up after my contract of 2 years, which in the 2 years I completed implementation of a product called DataFlex at the time. Again, it was an on-prem product. So I happened to meet a person from Ramco in an MRT actually. So he got in touch with me, an Indian person. Then he said, why don't you come over, we'll have a chat and all. Then from there, we had several rounds of discussion. He said, you need to go to India for meeting. I said, I'm anyway keen to move back because I had some personal issues here with my parents. So I had to move back and I joined Ramco. That was a Pakka 100% ERP company. And they wanted people from this background. They didn't want just programmers and systems executive and database administrator. They also wanted people who have actually hands-on experience in finance and procurement and other areas. So that was my break into the IT industry. That was my first step into the IT industry. It was a very interesting tenure there. It's a great company. They have their own product. They are more known for their aviation product, aircraft maintenance. There is MRO, maintenance, repair, and overall for rotary wing and fixed wing aircrafts. They also had a very robust logistics practice, which I was handling. In fact, incidentally, I started it by making baby steps. The first deal, if I remember right, was I think the TVS Logistics. Then we got Adani Container Depot, and many others. In the Middle East, we had a good presence. They asked me to handle the logistics solution, the supply chain execution part, so to say, because we were finding it very difficult to compete with the biggies like SAPs and Oracles, and at that time you had other ones. JD Edwards was separate, Infor, and so on. Barn and all of was also there, but for a limited period of time, and MFG Pro. So these were the competitors, but they said that we need to have something niche. Ramco management said we need to have something niche, something that cannot be easily taken over by the competition. Unlike in manufacturing, where we have fierce competition from SAP, or unlike in services, where you have very strong presence of Oracle in banking and other service, logistics services. Service industries, Oracle is very strong comparatively. So they said you need to have a product that can help. So we almost built it from the scratch, and it is a robust product called 𝗕FMS, Integrated Freight Management System, that gave me an exposure into the freight industry. All the while, I used to blend finance into it, the financial part, accounting and financial management was very much there in the background, because ultimately all of them fall into finance. They'll have a financial implication. So that way, yes. And then, of course, I had a very good offer from Oracle. I thought it's better to also see the branded part of the world, a more international brand, which is where I am now.
Wonderful, very nice. I think very nice journey. In fact, I have also seen when the ERP implementation happens, every organization forms this core team, what they call as core team.
Correct.
People draw young and very dynamic professionals from each function, and that is, I think, maybe a turning point of their career. So that's a lot of learning very and technology, very close technology. Great, very wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. So let's say if you have to start your journey all over again, would it be different, and how would it be different? What would you do differently?
Again, a very tough question. Let me give it a thought to it. One of the toughest questions you have asked. In today's world, in keeping in view that in today's world, things have become more competitive, more difficult, and more specialized. So I would definitely give it a thought more than what I would have thought, say 2 or 3 decades back, 2 decades back. So definitely I will give more weightage to sticking on to my own field of specialization before I venture into something quite different. In this case, I wouldn't call it's very different, because I'm still able to use my core CA knowledge here. So I wouldn't call it as, I wouldn't say that I've strayed completely away from the path. Even for that matter, a manufacturing, a production professional, or a sales administration professional, or a procurement supply chain professional who's drawn from an industry, he will not sway so much out of the way. He will still be using them only in a software environment. He will be dealing with various people, and I would still rate it to be a very challenging and very mentally stimulating environment. That is the environment of an IT company. It does give you that exposure, no doubt about it. So it still has a 5% edge. So let's divide into two parts, 50-50. So out of 100, I give 50-50. So I would put 5 extra points and go 45 to staying in. I would, if I need to continue as an accountant or as a finance executive or as a finance professional in an organization, great. That is also good, no doubt about it. But I would probably give 45 points to it, and I would probably give 55 points to IT today. A few years back, it would have been, 40-60 or even less, 30-70, because many people quit and left those days because it was kind of not very well paying, and you couldn't see the world. Being an accountant in India, you will not really get to see the world as you would see as an IT professional. I was able to see half the world thanks to my job, where we were able to meet people from various facets of life, be it Middle East, be it North America, be it Africa, so both South Africa and so on. So you get that variety that you need to cater, because you have to meet clients' requirements, and the client can be from different backgrounds. You should be able to take the challenge if you like it. Some people may not like it. Some people may find it very tough. No, I'm quite well off being a finance executive in a company, a vice president finance. I handle the day-to-day activities. That's enough for me. I am not a very, not an extrovert. If that is the approach, I would, my advice would be, do not switch, not to venture out into an IT field, because it requires a lot of preparation, a lot of work in that. The hard work is more to learn many things on the fly. You have a very short learning time. Your manager will say you need to meet a client who is into gems and jewelry in some country. You need to make preparations for it. You just have 5 days time. So you need to put all of that together, do some research, and before you talk to him, you need to speak his language. So all this is a challenging task. If you are willing to take it, go and take the plunge. If you're not, if you're a person who is quite satisfied and you're doing well in your profession, don't take a risk. So this is advice I will give to myself if I were to start all over.
No, that was my next question. You already given some advices to our listeners. So I think many of our listeners come from supply chain management background. So how can they go in their career? What they can do. I mean, you have a vast experience. So, any tips for them, anything for them, what they need to learn, what they need to do, sort of to grow in their career in supply chain?
Great. I will divide this question, this answer, into two parts. Let us say Mr. A is in the panel. Let's say, and Mr. A wants to grow his career in his own domain. He is let us say, a purchase executive or a supply chain executive working for a manufacturing company. And that manufacturing company is quite well known and all that. So he can build a career there, or if he finds that his areas, his avenues for promotion and growth are blocked, he can always go to another company as in a senior capacity by learning certain things. When I mean learning certain things, the things like AI and all, which is so easily available today. Definitely, he must have a good ERP knowledge, how an integrated environment works. Arm himself with all that. Gain whatever you can. Go to the next step. Maybe it could be a larger company, or it could be a slightly lesser in terms of, in terms of size. One company may have some 15,000 crore turnover. The other one may be less than that. It could be only 10,000 crore turnover. Don't worry about that. As long as the company is doing fine, as long as they're giving you a better position, better exposure, please opt for that. Exposure is very, very important today. You have to have specialized knowledge. You need to have some areas where you are called an expert. Do not get into this ivory tower jobs of general thing. You will get outdated, and even cornered in no time. This is my experience that I've seen right in front of my eyes. There are stories after stories where we know that ivory tower managers have been pushed away. It happens so much even in IT industry, no doubt about it. There are many project managers in IT industry who have lost their job because they are out of the touch with the subject. So I will come to that a little later. The advice is the professionals who are into supply chain, core supply chain, be it whatever area. It could be warehouse management, they could be transportation professionals, they could be procurement executives, or it could be sales. When I mean sales, not the job of selling, the sales administration, the shipping side, where you get an order and you manage the entire order. Or you could be even a professional who is into production, the core production area. Learning of any well-known branded product and familiarity with that is very essential. And if you still wish to continue in your own profession, in your own line, you don't want to move away into IT, perfectly fine. This gives you complete because you are in complete command of the situation. And if you are a person who is not interested in seeing a variety of things, some people see, honestly, you need to have that. What they call, I won't use the word courage, but you should be an introvert. If you're an introvert, it's better. Introvert means a person who's comfortable in his own zone. He's great in his own zone of comfort. If I am a procurement manager, let me be in that domain with different companies, company A, B, or C, or D, in that same industry. It could be electronic industry, chemical industry, and so on. At least I'm a specialist in that. And if I am not comfortable dealing with multiple people, it's better that I stick to this supply chain line. That is the domain line or the industry alone. Now, this is point A. We'll go to Mr. B. Mr. B is more extrovert. He doesn't mind taking risks. He doesn't mind meeting multiple people. He also wants to learn the industrial practices followed in other industry. So he wants to have a variety when it comes to exposure. So in this case, he can take his knowledge of his domain, any of the domain. Again, I said procurement, warehousing, etc. All that he can take, he can gain the domain and then switch over to a consulting line. When I mean IT doesn't mean sitting and doing only programming and taking some reports or only that. No, it could be even a consulting line, like PwC, E&Y, KPMG, and many others, Accenture and all. They all have consulting department, consulting things, where they ask you to go and do a system study for a company in the same procurement line. So if I'm a purchase officer who come from, say, Reliance or Tata's or Bajaj or wherever, I'm armed with my experience for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. So I'm taking that and going to a company which is using me or utilizing my services. So I can go to a company in, say, Middle East or Europe or anywhere, and use that knowledge to bring some streamlining into that. And I will be helped by my colleague who will help me map that into a ERP product. So this gives you very wide exposure. The second option, the Mr. B will get more exposure and job satisfaction than A, but in B's case, you cannot reach the level that you expect in a typical industry. So let's say I'm working for Bajaj or Samsung or any other company. I may see a better growth there. I may be a purchase vice president. I have a complete command. I will decide what people will. I will decide on the software. I mean, the software is more a service to me. I'm the boss. That kind of approach. So if you want that, that is A. If in the case of B, you will not get that kind of a rise in IT industry. IT industry is more flat, at a more flat structure. And now it's increasingly getting, the span of control is increasing. So if you are pushed to a level of a VP or a senior VP, you have to be better watch out. In IT industry, they will definitely demand numbers from you. You have to bring in revenue, you have to reduce cost, and you have to also improve the profitability. They'll give you these three axes: profit, sales, and cost reduction. So these are quite daunting and can be challenging for some people. So I will take a pause here.
Thank you so much. So there are some questions from the listeners. I think one question is coming from...
Can you read it to me?
Yeah, Pranav is asking, there are two questions Pranav is asking. First one is, how can we use AIML and SaaS technology for forecasting raw material prices? For chemicals, commodities like steel, copper, and prices are driven internationally. Is there any way of forecasting prices? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I can talk about the solution that we have. SAP, all products have it. All products, all branded products have it. When I mean all products, products that have specialize in these areas. Obviously, I'm not talking about product like Tally or something. No, I'm talking about products in this category. I can talk of my own product where there is something, we have something called again FDA, it's a data warehousing tool, also called FAW, Fusion Analytic Warehouse. Now there are two parts to it. One is the analytic part and the warehouse part. Warehouse part is where you put all your company's data into it. 5 years, 6 years, 10 years data is put into it, like a library. It's like giving a student a set of books. So I teach that this is an AI tool, what I'm talking about. So I give it all the facilities and also expose it to the external world. There are connectors where it can take from others, Chat GPT and things like that. It also, we have our own Gen AI tool. So, and in addition, we also use techniques called Brown's linear exponential smoothing, Holt-Winters, and linear regression. These are methods that we use for forecasting. We use certain stochastic models and so on, which these are robust, proven statistical models. Of course, they have their own limitation. It doesn't mean you have to only go. I mean, there is always as they say, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. You should always provide for an allowance of 10% tolerance. Anything can go wrong. It can give a forecast, but if the forecast is severely, compromised by some events, one must be prepared for it. The good thing is this tool allows you to adjust and provide penalties to it. Penalties means adjustment points. The system gives me a forecast for forecasting raw materials, but it also allows you to give alpha, beta, and gamma. You can give to bring it down or suitably adjust. You may want to provide things like freight cost increase, or you may say that now with all the Gulf, disturbances, you have the fuel price are becoming a challenge. You can put that as an element, or other elements like government regulations. So system considers all that, puts an element of penalty to it or a load to it, and then gives you the forecast. So excellent. There are robust tools.
Yeah. So I think his question was about risk also associated with these tools. I think we already answered that.
Yeah, I included risk also.
Yeah. So another question is coming from Dhruv. As a supply chain manager, what are the specific tech domains? So he's talking about tech domains one must develop knowledge in. How can one build this knowledge? Any courses, certification that you suggest? This is being asked in context with your response to a question answered that journalists are more likely to get sidelined.
Yeah. Okay. I understand what Mr. Dhruv was asking. He said, as a supply chain manager, there are, when I mean tech domains, you don't have to get into the programming part, because that will involve a lot of work. I don't know, you may be busy in your own way. There are certain tools that you can concentrate on. There are many tools available like Ariba, etc. There are even Oracle provides coaching. Oracle has something called a OU, Oracle University, similar to what you have in SAP. You have SAP, and they have their own certifications and courses where you can you can have silver certificate, gold, diamond, and so on and so forth. You can acquire that. As a supply chain manager, I would strongly advise that you take some courses of any product. I can talk about my product. There's something called Fusion Supply Chain Distributed Order Orchestration. Because you're a supply chain manager, I'm using this word. There is something called a course on distributed order orchestration. It includes a complete supply chain, collaborative forecasting, planning, replenishment, all that is included in that. And it also tells how, first they give you a grounding on how the generic concepts work. And then it tells you how Oracle Fusion helps in playing a role in this ecosystem. How is it able to predict demand? How is it able to collaborate with suppliers? How is it able to reduce the lead time? How is it able to bring it to receiving the commodity or outsourcing it or subcontracting it? And finally, you do it moves to work in progress and to as a finished product. So this entire, you will have a complete end-to-end view, the ringside view of the solution. This will come very handy as you move further in the line, so that even when you are going to a company in your own industry, let us say you are working in a, say, I'm just saying electronic industry. So you are in company A. When you go to B, C, or D, you will have this experience while evaluating a software. When you are in that company, they'll say, boss, we don't have anything. We are we are just having an old legacy system. Now we want to implement a new system. Can you evaluate? Can you be in the panel? So you can add a real value to that. Because with all this, armed with all this knowledge, you don't have to be biased towards one product. You can have a good view of all the product. Your knowledge will come really handy. The knowledge that you acquire through all this through this courses can really come very handy in evaluating them. And obviously you will have better popularity, and you will have a better I mean, you'll be a very sought after person there, because you not only know the supply chain, which you are an expert, but you also have that extra tech knowledge. So it's like adding A plus B. So that is my answer to it. Of course, there are a lot of courses which are available. I can give a list of it. But coming to the generic part, yes, as Ravindra sir again took that point, this is my personal experience. Is if you are too generic, if you're going too much above the ladder and you want to be disconnected with the grassroots, then you do have the risk of being slowly sidelined, or because they'll find smarter people taking away your job, because you are far away from them. You are more into administration and management, people management, as we call it, writing appraisals, putting this man on the job, that man on the job. So if there is a new management takeover suddenly, which happens so often these days, they will bring their people. They will not find you any more useful. I mean, you will be one of the first to be in the line of fire. The others may not be disturbed, because you need somebody to do the job. So this is I mean, what I'm saying is not rocket science. You all know it very well. People like you are very well versed with it, but I just thought I could share. And
thank you so much. Thank you so much. So actually, I think there are no more questions, and we have also exceeded time by about 10-11 minutes.
Perfect.
So I would like to thank everyone, all the participants, and for taking time out and attending this session. This session is being recorded, and this recording will be available on YouTube as well as our own platform. So you will be able to access this recording. We will soon announce the next episode of SCM Talk Show. That probably is going to be next month. Next month is a busy month, but we will try to accommodate this talk show next month also. And I would like to thank Balaji from the bottom of my heart for taking time out, accepting our invitation, and giving lot of knowledge to our participants about his wonderful career journey, knowledge about cloud, SaaS, which is like the latest technology, and everybody is moving towards that. I think we all are using cloud in some way or the other when we interact on social media and our Gmail accounts and so on. So in some way, I think we are all using cloud anyway, whether we are aware or not aware. Yeah. So thank you very much, Balaji, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ravindra. It's been absolute pleasure interacting with you and with all the people who are in this panel, and to all the attendees. It's been a wonderful time. I look forward to more such interactions with you. Again, right from the bottom of my heart, it's an excellent opportunity that you have given me, which I will cherish. Thank you, Mr. Ravindra.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I will disconnect.
Yeah, thank you. Rashmi, you can stop recording now.
Sure, sir.